The study of organizational behavior is inviting greater inquisitiveness today than at any other point in time. With the juggernaut of change unleashed due to supersonic speed of technological advancement and tremendous uncertainty because of a highly volatile environment, this discipline has acquired immense significance. As a precursor of organizational change and as a facilitator of organizational development, organizational behavior, which is referred to as OB in its abbreviated form, is poised to be a much coveted discipline. The first section in this lesson introduces the discipline of OB, gives the definition and scope of the subject, and discusses the importance of its study. The second section elaborately talks about the different approaches to organizational behavior, which includes the behaviorist, the cognitive and the social learning approaches. The third section discusses the challenge and opportunities for OB, talks of globalization and its impact, covers various issues such as the importance of developing people skills, empowerment, managing diverse workforce, and managing the impact of new technology. Organizational behavior as a discipline now has a fairly strong presence in the study of management. Organizations need to recognize the importance of developing employee skills to foster organizational growth. Quite often, the employee's sense of job satisfaction stems from other reasons than monetary ones. Perks and benefits may not induce them to work better, but definitely the nature of jobs, more supportive organizational climate, and a positive environment may keep them for long periods with a single organization. It is imperative that interpersonal skills are important for job effectiveness. In our own country, companies like Hindustan Lever Limited and Wipro are desired by employees for their right organizational climate. Only technical skills, though important, are inadequate for succeeding as a manager in any organization. Therefore, the study of human behavior in particular and organizational behavior in general is essential. The study of behavior is natural to every one of us. We try to observe people and build our judgment regarding intentions behind specific behavior and the possible repercussions of such behavior. But all this is done in a haphazard manner because we do not have the adequate tools and knowledge to study behavior more systematically. OB as a discipline helps us study behavior in a more systematic and accurate fashion. And this systematic approach assumes that behavior is not a random occurrence. On the contrary, behavior emanates from and it's aimed at some end that the individual believes to be in his or her interest. Individual differences in behavior make predicting behavior a little tricky. The difference between a successful organization and a not so successful one lies in their people. Organizational behavior as a discipline essentially seeks to study individuals, their different collective forms such as groups and of course organization, to understand the impact of these on an organization. The impact of behavior of individuals collectively can be both creative as well as disintegrating. For this, OB assumes tremendous importance and becomes very useful in analyzing behavior and ensuring the attainment of organizational objectives through desirable behavior patterns. Organizational behavior is a field of study which explores the impact that individuals, groups, and structures have on behavior within the organization, for the purpose of applying such knowledge towards improving an organization's effectiveness. OB essentially studies three determinants of behavior in an organization: individuals, groups, and structure, and applies this knowledge on behavior in order to make organization work more effectively. OB is essentially concerned with studying what people do in an organization and how behavior affects the performance of the organization. OB is particularly concerned with employment-related situations. Now, coming over to the scope of OB, the discipline borrows in a fair measure from other disciplines such as psychology, sociology, anthropology, and of course management. In OB, we study motivation and leadership, learning attitudes, values, and of course communication. It covers personality and perception and also about managing teams and how to handle workplace politics. OB, as discussed earlier, is a systematic study of behavior in an organizational context. It does not merely help in reading behavior. It goes a step further and helps explain the cause and effect relationship to help modify behavior for organizational needs. OB seeks to explore certain consistencies in behavior in order to promote a rational understanding of behavior and some degree of predictability. In a fast-changing world, corporate relationships are all undergoing tremendous change. Organizational behavior essentially makes life a little easier by allowing us an insight into people's behavior so that we can harness their potential for organizational good. The complexities of human relationships in a work setting are myriad, and OB essentially looks at these complexities in a very systematic fashion with a view to offer help in understanding behavior and applying this understanding to organizational issues for better resolution of tricky work-related. While developing the OB framework, it needs to be borne in mind that it is an extremely complex discipline with many inputs, which include the cognitive, behaviorist, and social approaches. It is important to look into all these approaches, since they would put the entire discipline in a clear perspective and will also help in understanding OB better. These contributory frameworks provide a paradigm to OB for its research, learning, insights, and even experimentation. A behaviorist approach emphasizes the observable behavior rather than complexities of human mind. The use of classical conditioning experiments to arrive at the stimulus-response explanation for human behavior was a major breakthrough in psychology. The studies focused on the impact of the stimulus and concluded that the learning happened with SR, when SR connection was established. This can be simply illustrated through the figure given. The modern-day behaviorist does not rule out the role of some cognitive variable in the behaviorist approach. The cognitive approach gets its input from several sources. This approach seeks to give due credit to people unlike other approaches. This approach highlights the free will and the positive aspects of behavior. It uses the concept of expectancy, demand, and incentive. The approach propagates that cognition happens before behavior occurs and therefore forms an important input in the person's thinking process, his perception, problem solving, and obviously processing of information. All in all, cognition has an important role in determining behavior. Of late, the interest in cognition has become more pronounced while studying how managers arrived at decisions, and the process of social cognition, which tries to understand or make sense of people's behavior. The critics of both behaviorist and cognitive approach, though, have dubbed these as being either deterministic or mentalist. On the other hand, the cognitive theory believes that the SR model and at some degree, the RS model is rather an extremely mechanistic explanation of human behavior. The social learning approach accepts behavior as an apt unit of analysis. But this approach is not a very stringent and extreme approach. It simply believes that people are aware of their behavior and that they engage in purposive behavior. Social learning approach provides a fundamentally profound approach to the study of OB. And now, it would be in place to look at the organizational behavior approach. OB is a very young and dynamic discipline and obviously borrows from other established disciplines on human behavior. Most writers in OB have preferred the humanistic cognitive approach to OB. The behaviorist versus cognitive controversy continues. OB seeks not to understand behavior, but also to control and predict the same. According to this, the behaviorist approach believes that the organizational behavior which is followed by positively reinforcing consequence is obviously strengthened, and this also increases the subsequent frequency of such behavior. The social learning approach, which includes both the behaviorist and the cognitive approach, is an apt approach which can help in understanding, predicting, and controlling organizations. It is imperative for managers to understand OB. Nothing precisely could hold a greater interest for an organization than the changing employee profile and behavioral patterns. Look around and you will surely see that an average Indian employee, whether he is working for a Tata company or a multinational like Johnson & Johnson, is growing younger and younger. To cite an example, an average employee working in Tata Interactive Systems, a service company, is 24 or 25 years of age. Now, the common feature of organizational change is that there is a high job mobility amongst employees. Gone are the days when people would stick to a company throughout their lifetime. Today, employees do not hold loyalty as an important value. Another subtle and positive change is the employee's willingness to learn at any given point in time during his career. The average employee today gives due importance to self-development opportunities. And what's happening to the organization? The organizations are facing turbulent time, with turnover rates posing constant challenges. Technological advances coupled with business incertitude are turning organizations into more proactive entities. Downsizing and VRS are common features of the corporate scenario today. Even nationalized banks have announced VRS for their employees. Fast-paced change ensures that organizations have cutting-edge strategies to take care of their employees and satisfy their needs. In a post-liberalized India, the cutthroat competition unleashed with the advent of the multinational has definitely made life a little challenging for business houses. Mergers and acquisitions are the order of the day. Be the old world pharmaceutical sector acquisition of Burroughs Wellcome by Glaxo or Bank of Madura's merger with India's largest private sector bank, ICICI Bank. This means that corporate turbulence is not just because of technological changes, but also because of a shift in corporate paradigms. A manager's job in such a volatile scenario surely becomes more volatile and difficult. OB has a unique role to play here by facilitating a sharper understanding of human behavior in an organizational context. The juggernaut of globalization has certainly changed the employee-employer equation. We have moved from so-called permanent employees to contractual employees. More and more companies do not want permanent employees, and more employees do not want permanent company. Working relationships are becoming extremely transitory in nature, is a matter of prestige. Look at an average software professional's CV. He is considered to be real good only if he has changed 3 jobs in a year, with some overseas assignment thrown in for good measure. Retainership and consultancy is being popular in economies which are moving from manufacturing-based organization to service-oriented boundaries for nations. Tata can now sell its Indica in Europe, and McDonald's can now taste success in India by offering mouthwater delicacies. Internationally speaking, Toyota manufactures its cars in Kentucky, and General Motors manufactures its cars in Brazil. Procter & Gamble manufactures shampoos in Vietnam and imports them for consumption in India. So next time when you're using Head & Shoulders to solve your dandruff problem, just carefully look at the label on the bottle and check to confirm this bit of information. These examples clearly indicate the kind of change that happens all over the world. The IT revolution has converted the world into a global village. This has very important connotations for a manager. It means that the manager of today's business world will have to be very flexible. He will have to be prepared for a change at all times. He will have to attune himself to different culture and people when he accepts assignments in countries other than his own. Within his own country, he has to deal with employees from different culture having different values and attitudes. They may be motivated by a totally different set of factors and may indulge in communication process which may not match his own. Now, if you put yourself in the position of this manager and visualize, you will realize for yourself that today's manager has a tough task ahead and that he will have to survive through his sheer willingness to change. In order to be effective in such a dynamic scenario, he will have to understand people and their expectations. He will have to modify his management practices to suit the organizational context. Obviously, this makes the study of OB very important. Managers today have to be proactive and should have the capacity to foresee the future. In a rapidly moving world, with fast-changing business needs, every manager will have to keep track of these changes and work accordingly. And this will alone make him or her a successful manager. Adaptability is the biggest prerequisite for a manager, and organizational behavior offers the necessary insight to develop the competence in order to change as per the dictates of time and people. 1.5.1 Developing people skills. Managerial effectiveness will never happen without the ability to manage people. In order to retain good employees, managers need to have good interpersonal skills. Even to ensure good performance from employees, the skills are inevitable. Modern-day managers are increasingly saddled with responsibilities of dealing with varied employee profiles. This jugglery with different types of people often makes great demands upon managers' faculties. He needs to understand the behavior of his people in order to manage them better. This particular book will help you learn how to deal with these different employees, how to motivate them, and how to understand their expectations. It will also help you in creating effective work relationships and in communicating with others. And at best, this in turn will lead you to manage their skills for larger organizational goals. 1.5.2 The modern-day designation of a manager is that of a coach, a mentor, an advisor, a facilitator, or even a sponsor. He is no longer a boss. Employees are preferably called associates. A software called CITIL, Citicorp Information Technology Limited, calls its programmers associate consultants. This means that the traditional hierarchy is being replaced. The dividing line between managers and workers is getting thinner and thinner and has almost vanished in modern-day organization. More and more organizations are opting for flat structures and are encouraging the operating level employees to participate in decision making. The so-called Indian family managed businesses are also learning the lessons of professionalism. This means that today's workers are more empowered than their predecessors were. They have a choice in designing schedules, procedures, and also in resolving work-related disputes. Managers are giving away the total control of their work, instead of merely giving employees an opportunity to participate in decision-making process. Self-management teams, called SMTs, have become the order of the day. These teams do not have bosses to control them. They are merely made up of operating employees who are self-driven as a team. The writing on the wall is clear: empowerment. Employees today enjoy greater freedom and choice to participate in organizational affairs. They are no longer driven. They are now directly in the driver's seat. They often manage high-risk tasks, and that too with complete sense of ownership. Obviously, this has created a totally new work ethos and has changed the conventional superior-subordinate relationships. Empowerment has also resulted in a change in the manager's profile. While putting employees in charge, the managers have to give up control. On the other hand, employees have to take up responsibility for work and make appropriate decisions. Prospective managers will need flexible leadership styles to do this. As we move ahead, we will see how leadership has acquired a new definition altogether. Power desks have disappeared and managing by walking around is in fashion. You, as the one who's interested in management, would surely like to know how this management by walking around happens. As we move further, we will see how it happens and how managers today are no longer the bastions of power that they used to be, but they are facilitators of work by using different types of sources of power and not merely the power of their positions. 1.5.3 Managing diverse workforce. Workforce diversity necessarily means that organizations are turning into heterogeneous entities. Globally speaking, Japan is seeing a shift in gender balance. The traditional Japanese woman who was a temporary worker is holding senior management positions. South Africa is now seeing the changing face of its corporate world, with blacks enjoying more privileged professional positions. In USA, hordes of immigrants from across the world, be they Italians, Indians, Chinese or Hispanics, are doing the professional scene. Europe, with its union firmly in place, have literally liquidated the boundaries across Germany, France, Italy, Portugal and other European economies, making the workforce more mobile across countries. And back home in India, the scene is fast changing. Women enjoy cushy boardroom positions and multicultural and regionally diverse work groups are becoming more and more common. The sons of soil cry may still be heard once in a while, but the average Indian organization are rich in workforce diversity. It is in fact a melting pot for different linguistic, regional, religious and even national differences. One thing needs to be remembered here, that we may believe that people adapt to organizational setup by giving up individual differences in values and attitudes. But this may no longer be true. Modern day employees prefer to retain their cultural values and lifestyle. However, the organizations will necessarily have to adapt to their taste by being more accommodative in approach. It will have to learn to recognize and value differences. Workforce diversity means that managers will have to change their philosophy of treating everyone equally. While learning to recognize differences, their ability to respond to these differences alone will ensure retention to good employees and greater productivity. Of course, discrimination will have to be avoided at all costs. Managers today will have to reorient themselves to these issues by being more flexible and by providing diversity training and revamping benefit programs for employees to make them more comfortable in the organizational family. If managed well, diversity will lead to creativity and innovation and will also enrich decision making through different perspectives. If managed badly, it may simply result in high turnover, difficulty in communication and interpersonal conflicts. 1.5.4 Managing the impact of new technology. A single world economy is here. The world market will be dominated by the golden triangle of North America, comprising of US, Canada and Mexico. The European community, the Pacific Rim of newly industrialized nations like South Korea, Taiwan and Singapore, and of course emerging developing Asian economies like India and China. In this millennium, the biggest challenge that managers are facing is global competitiveness. Another challenge that faces the field of management is rapid technological change. We are in the second generation of information technology. The first generation was characterized by automated data processing, and this generation has resulted in automated decision making and advanced telecommunications, leading to faster networking competencies. The current age is characterized by speed, and speed which is amazingly fast. The outcome is quicker response, faster services, zap decisions, supersonic operations and flash of a second business deals across international boardrooms. Decision support and expert system coupled with internet utilities have put every member in a corporate organization in direct touch with each other. The IT has revolutionized our communication process. People are now globally connected almost free of cost and in real time. The information technology has made sharing of information so simple and fast that employees have an opportunity to have direct access to information, increasing the complexity of organizational communication and even behavioral dimension. Another major impact in management has been that of quality service revolution. This is a global phenomenon. The world marketplace is full of products and service with competitive edge of quality. Besides the price, brand name, design and superior technology coupled with innovation, quality has become the distinguishing feature in global markets. This has moved far ahead in importance compared to other aspects. Moreover, the delivery of quality, particularly in the service sector, is equally important. This means that one has to offer quality in the shortest possible time. These challenges have made the study of organizational behavior more complex, imbuing it with modern-day volatility and a fair degree of uncertainty. Moving ahead from here, we will seek to address these changes through a more pronounced understanding of the issue, and particularly the behavioral implications of these changes.